Nancy, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I went back through my email and I honestly could not find the link anywhere. So even though I printed up the stuff, so. Hey, welcome everyone.
Hi, Kimmy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Shane. Hey, Tom. Hey, Craig. Folks, I'm showing just a couple minutes before 3, so we'll go ahead and wait for a couple more minutes for folks to log on, and then I will go through roll call. I see that Ashley McGee is on. Ashley, nice to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Certainly nice for everyone too. I haven't seen Ashley for a bit though, so that's why I was calling her out specifically. Okay, I'm showing 3 o'clock on the dot. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Kim Taylor. Nice to have everyone here. I am your board chair for this year. I'm going to go ahead and go through roll call. If you could please respond with unmuting yourself, coming on, telling us that you're here, putting a hands up via the icons or something to that effect, that would be great. I can see to some extent some of the folks that are logged on. So in that case, I will just confirm that you're here. So again, I am here. I believe that Andrew Van Winkle is here.
Present.
Perfect. Craig Davenport, I know you are here.
Yes, here.
Perfect. Gail, I believe you are here.
I am here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's see. How about Jill Burkholder? Are you here? Nope. Okay, I'll come back through. Let me see. Chris Thompson? No. All right. Lori Moon?
I'm here.
Perfect. Lita, I believe you are here. I'm seeing Lita as a participant with no video. I'm not sure that she has a microphone option. So Lita, if you have the ability to chat to let us know if you're here, that would be great. Let's see, Mark Bullock.
I'm here.
Perfect, thank you. Let's see, Dr. Limburger. Okay. Shane Lindsley, Michael, I know you're here.
Here.
Perfect. Other folks, do we have Kat Nichols from the county or County Community Affairs? Okay, Jessica Thompson, I believe you are here.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, Josh, are you here by chance? No, Justin. Not seeing at the moment. Ashley McGee from the county is here.
Yes, hello again.
Okay. Let me see. Do I have Liz Perez is here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Nancy's here, certainly. Sarah Schumacher, you are here. Correct. Savannah Burst from Molina, I believe is here.
Hello.
Perfect. Looks as if Justin just joined.
Hey, good afternoon,
Um,
everyone.
Perfect. Also, I'm showing someone with a phone number with the last four digits of 9211. Would you be able to identify
is Lita.
yourself? Lita,
Yes,
perfect.
this is Lita.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I'm seeing an iPhone. Someone who I probably not called yet. Okay, is there anyone else here that I have not acknowledged or called on?
I'm here. I'm Tom Goetz, except I'm not a behavioral health board member.
Yeah, Tom,
I'm-
sorry, I saw you. Yeah, I did see you there. I'm sorry, I forgot to acknowledge you other than initially. So Tom, I do know you're here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
Anyone else that I have neglected to mention or call on based on the list of participants? Okay, I may go back through again. I may try to see if some folks log on as we go. Nancy, to my best, kind of my best loose count here, I believe we have a quorum.
Yes, there is.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on with the agenda and get started. Keep in mind that folks may pop in as we're getting going here. So if all of you could please take a look at last month's, or excuse me, not last month, 2 months ago's meeting minutes. Take a peek at those, see if there are any needed changes or amendments based on errors or anything else. And then if you've had an opportunity to take a look at those, if I could please get a motion for approval, that would be greatly appreciated.
I'm motion Kim to accept the minutes from July.
Thank you, Shane. Do I also have a second?
I second it.
Lita, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Approved. Let's go ahead and move on. Let me change my screen again here or go back to, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to the second part of the agenda. So it looks like we have a presentation regarding 988 and the regional communication. I'll go ahead and let Sarah Schumacher present for us. Appreciate your being here.
All right.
Hello, will you be putting the slides up or are we doing that?
You said you were going to, but I believe we have the document open that Crystal can do that if you need her to.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical issues on our side. So if you're able to do that, that would be incredibly helpful for
Okay.
us.
Crystal, can you do that, please?
Awesome. Perfect. So I'll introduce myself real quick. My name's Sarah Shoemaker. I'm the director of 988 here at FBH. I've been with FBH for going on about 2 months now. I'm excited to be here, be a part of the team. I'm really excited to see some folks on here that look familiar to me. It's nice to see you again. So Amy and I wanted to have an opportunity to come to you guys today to tell you about 988. If you have not heard of 988 and the work that we're doing to get that implemented. Also, we were hoping to grab some feedback from you guys about your experiences when you have, or if you've heard of people accessing 988 and what your experiences have been like. Because we find it incredibly valuable to get consumer feedback when it comes to making changes to programs or having an impact on the community. We want to be sure that we get people's ideas and thoughts, so that we make sure that the changes we make or the implementation that we make fits the population we're trying to serve. So that's what we're here to do today. I'll introduce you to Amy. She's our program administrator for 988 and for RCL, which obviously a lot of you guys would be familiar with. So Amy will run us through the overview of the program and what we do. And then at the end, like I said, we were hoping to ask a couple of questions and get your guys' feedback on your experience with the service so far. So here is Amy.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see some of you that I know or that I was in a presentation with last week. Can we get these slides to go to the beginning, or do I have access to that? Awesome. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. Somebody. So somebody is not on mute and we can hear somebody's complete conversation. Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. All right, as Sarah said, we are going to do a quick overview of the 988 system and the regional crisis line system. We can go to the next slide. All right, so real quick, when are we available and who do we serve? We serve everybody. Anybody who has a mental health crisis who needs our assistance and calls us, we will do our best to help you get your needs met. We're available 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we generally service the 5 or 6 counties that I have down here. We have Spokane, Lincoln, Stevens, Ferry, Adams, and Pend Oreille counties. And we have an in-state backup system that we're working on as well for all the 988 centers. Go ahead and move to the next line, please, or next slide, please. All right, so how do you get a hold of us? Well, it's pretty easy these days. You can just dial 988 on your phone and it will connect you directly with us. You will have a short, well, it feels long, but it is technically short, a little menu that when you call, it'll ask you to press 1 if you would like to speak with somebody on the veterans line. And then it'll go through several options, including the Trevor Project and the Native, Native crisis line in Washington State as well. The other way that you can connect with us is by calling the Spokane Regional Crisis Line. And I added the phone number on here because it's important to know that right now, the only way to get you connected with our local service is if you have a 509 area code. So if you are somebody who's from Arizona, say, and you have an Arizona area code, then your area code would go directly to an Arizona 988 hub. So, but there is a process in place in which they can transfer you over to our system. But those are 2 ways that you can get connected with us directly. Go ahead and move to the next slide. All right, so when should you call 988 or the regional crisis line? Anytime you or somebody you know is having a mental health crisis, are having thoughts of suicide, wanting to harm themselves or others, or if they're in any kind of danger related to any mental health issue or maybe a substance use issue, and they would like some services, you can call us even if they don't want services. Go ahead, move to the next slide. So this is some information that we'll be asking of you. 988 is a completely voluntary service. So we may ask you these questions, but it's up to you guys to decide how you want to roll this call out and how you want to communicate with us. So things that in general we would normally ask is your name, your phone number. Most of the time we like to get your phone number so that we can call you back if we get disconnected, just to make sure that you're doing okay. So the other thing is we'll ask is a legal name, and some people call it a dead name. And we do this so that we can better serve you guys if we do have any information for you. And then your phone number again, your date of birth, and the address. Also, your current location, which could be different than your address. We would like to know who your natural supports might be and your professional supports. And go ahead and move to the next one. And today you get to decide what's on your screen. Sorry, guys. Can anybody else see it? I'm sorry about that, everybody. Okay. All right, so since, let's see, as I think about this, we will start asking you some questions since we're having some difficulties with technology. I apologize for that. We have Sarah's going to ask you a couple of questions.
Is there any questions so far from the group just about the brief overview that we just gave about 988 and RCL? Is there any clarifying questions we can answer?
I was at a presentation last week, so I feel like I have some good information already.
Yes,
Perfect.
please, Gail, ask the questions that we haven't gotten to.
Well, one of the questions I asked last week that has been shared with me was that when people call, their phone number automatically, if there's a caller ID associated with it, that it might automatically populate if they've had a call with Frontier Behavioral Health before or has been in the system. This was one concern that was shared. Well, actually, yeah, it was shared by a couple of individuals who think that might be a potential. So last week we discussed it. Sounds like there isn't, but maybe somebody here would be having that same question.
Yeah, so like Amy mentioned before, there's a certain level of anonymity that comes with calling in, and it's going to be up to you to provide the information that you want to provide. We don't have a phone number that pops up on the screen when we receive a phone call. What we do have is our call center for 988 is a national center that's located in New York City. So New York will receive those calls, and then based off of the area code, they get transferred to the closest location. We receive every call for 509 will come to a 988 call center in Washington. And there's two other people, VOA and Crisis Connections, who take those phone calls along with us. We take all the local ones to those counties that we mentioned earlier.
Good to know. Thanks. That's nice to know that you don't see a caller ID. I can offer that reassurance to the folks that are concerned about calling it in this region.
Sure.
Sarah and Amy, isn't it accurate also, this is Kim, isn't it accurate also that the RCL folks only have limited access, very limited access to any of the patient records of Frontier Behavioral Health? Meaning, I believe that DCRs can see pretty much anything and everything. Maybe some of the clinicians can see only their own records, but RCL, I think, has very limited access. And this kind of goes, my comment kind of goes back to, I think, Gail's question about concern. So is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So when our intention when we're receiving phone calls isn't to dig into private conversations that individuals have had with their therapist, for example. So if somebody reaches out to the crisis center because they're in need of support, we're not going to go read session notes to support them. We're going to provide an immediate response to them in the moment to help them get access to whatever service they need right then, to provide support with some active listening and compassion, and hopefully help to de-escalate a very acute crisis to be something more manageable. What we are working on right now, and sort of our underlying intention in reaching out to the community and consumers, is a co-location pilot with 911, meaning for individuals who have learned throughout time to call 911 when there's an emergency, which I include myself in that group of individuals. I've been conditioned since I was a little kid. When I need a response, I call 911. And what we are trying to achieve is say, if you are in a behavioral health crisis, or a family member is in a behavioral health crisis, 988 could be a more appropriate response to that. I wouldn't in any way deter people from calling 911 if they're in an emergency. So I want to make myself very clear. But what we're hoping to do is partner with 911 in a way where we can gain some momentum in people getting the right response for what they need. And if I am in a situation where I need behavioral health support, and I don't want law enforcement showing up, for example, then I could call 988 and I could get an expert, a behavioral health expert, to respond and help me through my crisis. And I know that's some of the feedback we've gotten with some other groups that we presented to, is individuals saying, I don't want the police to show up at my house if I'm feeling suicidal. I would prefer that's a mental health professional helped me, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve in this co-location.
Thanks for asking that question, Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Kim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any other questions that anybody might have? Tom, we got to chat last week, so I appreciate seeing your face again.
Yeah, Sarah, did you mention the response time of 911 versus 988?
Sure. Yeah. So our response time as of right now is not structured or established to send somebody the way that a 911 response would be. What FBH does have is we have several different mobile crisis response teams that we can enact, but it's not going to be like if I were to call 911 right now and 5 minutes later paramedics or fire trucks or law enforcement's going to show up. We haven't established that sort of a response based just off of a behavioral health crisis. But what we do is partner with 911 so that those resources are sent immediately when it's a life-threatening situation.
Thanks for that answer.
Sure. Yeah. Is there any other questions that you all might have before we start asking you some questions?
Hi, this is Lita, and I sent a message in chat that I would like to have answered if possible.
Sure. Let's take a peek. I'm close bit. Do you mind? I'm going to read it out loud if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
All right.
I'm a close family member of an individual who has paranoid schizophrenia and who's unable to recognize that she is sick. As a family member, how can I make sure she will get the help she needs when in crisis and after dialing 911? And the second part of that, I think you answered, but also how can we get a response that doesn't result in police interaction, first responders, as this only adds to her paranoia, makes it that much more difficult.
That is a great question. every
And the
call,
problem we see is when the police have shown up in the past, she sees that it becomes a criminal type of response, and she sees that, and so she's immediately suspicious and refuses any help. So we would like to, you know, as a family member, and as other family members that I've talked to, it's a big issue for us.
and that's with our co-locating with 911. That's one of the things that we're trying to get away from. Our responses from 911 or emergency services that we don't necessarily need. So what we like to do on the crisis line in 988 is really match the intervention with the crisis. So if there's some significant risk associated with the call, and I'm not saying your family member, if this is the case for them, because I do not know. But if the risk is really high and they've already done something to end their life, then we do have to do everything we can to save them. And sometimes that means calling 911. But other times that means we're talking to the person over the phone to see if we can't de-escalate the person and come up with a plan to maybe meet without law enforcement involved, so that we can really understand what her needs are and see if we can't meet those needs. Is that
Okay,
what
thank you very much.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. Thank you. I appreciate that answer.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start asking questions. Again, feel free if you need to ask a question, feel free to ask. So what do you guys feel like is going well with our current crisis system?
This is Kim. I don't have data to back this up, but from my perspective, I think 988 is an improvement for the comment that was made about it sort of gets mental health crises out of the larger kind of 911 system, and I think provides a little more tailored and sensitive approach to folks that are struggling with mental health issues. So from the sort of the philosophical perspective, I think that's a big improvement.
Part of the aims and goals of the 911 988 co-location is also to help reduce the stigma that comes with calling, or it comes with mental health or behavioral health concerns.
I think if you go down just one more slide, the questions are listed. But yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to comment on that question? And totally okay if you don't. Because my next question is going to be, what can we improve with the crisis system?
This is Kim again. Can you, and perhaps you said this and I just missed it, but I know within the 988 system, there are several options. Like one is for LGBTQ, one is for veterans. There may or may not be sort of another sort of breakout or sub number, but could you remind us of what those are?
There are more, and I don't remember what they are. I apologize. It's
Tribal?
LGBTQ. Go ahead.
Tribal?
Yep, tribal, LGBTQ, veteran. Did they add anything else recently? Do you know of?
We're in the process of having a specialty line for individuals who identify as being a part of the agricultural community. Additionally, I believe there in the works is teenage young adult as well. I'd also offer that you can chat with 988. There is chat and text also. Our hub does not operate text and chat yet, but there are other Washington State hubs that do, and that was feedback that we received with the last group that we had a discussion with, was the ease of being able to chat and text rather than calling.
Additionally, all of the staff have been getting trainings for the agriculture community and the areas surrounding that are specialties that we need to keep in mind.
Well, that makes sense because of the texting that you said. I host a behavioral health forum every month, and this month was suicide prevention or suicide awareness. One of the responders said that she had used, this is a youth, had used 988, but she'd also used the text. And the difference was that the text, they were trying to talk to her more like they were a pal rather than the 988 asking her specific questions. So that would explain why she had those two different experiences.
Do you recall what was her feeling about those experiences? Did she prefer one to the other, or?
She didn't feel like she got great help from the text, but was because of the way they were trying to connect with her.
Right.
But I think it would be preferred for her.
Sure. How about anyone else in the group? Have you experienced utilizing the 988 or 911 as a way to, when you were feeling like you were in some sort of a crisis? And if so, if you wouldn't mind sharing, what were the challenges of that experience? Can you give us an idea of the volume of calls you received? Yes.
This is Kim. I'll just say I don't have direct experience using 988. I use the regional crisis line a lot. So just to reply to your question, I have not personally.
Okay.
I don't want to divert for folks who were thinking about answering, but question, is there some sort of accommodation for folks who are hearing impaired specific to the 988 line? Meaning my technology regarding hearing or hearing related disabilities is very, very old. So I don't know if TTY is still a viable option or how that potentially is accommodated.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We actually have a team member whose husband is deaf and has trained us on the use of video communication. So every person or a lot of people who are deaf or hard of hearing have the option to do an interpreter relay by video. So they can chat and see each other and see what's going on, and then they can relay that information to us who cannot see them. So that's the standard procedure right now for deaf, hard of hearing communication.
Follow up on that with a question. Many years ago, I too used TTYs, but many years ago, I interacted in the deaf community a lot. So if somebody doesn't currently have, and I don't know if this is true or not, if you live in a more rural area and you don't maybe have the connectivity, you can still use that 800 number, I would be guessing.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Lori Moon. What about interpreter services? Like we have a high Marshallese population, a high Ukrainian population, and Spanish from Mexico. Are we able to serve them too?
Yeah, we use an interpreter service, and we would just call them and get them on the line for the language in which they're speaking, and then we can converse with them that way. Anybody else who has an experience using 988 that would like to share with us?
All right, how about the next slide then?
Okay.
So if you take a peek at number 7, essentially what we're trying to ask is, what if you've ever accessed 911 or even the regional crisis line, what types of supports and resources would you feel like are the most beneficial? And I can give an example. So when we met with a different group of individuals who have utilized these services, one of the responses we got to that was a gentleman who said, when I call 988, when I call 911, I call them because I want somebody to show up, because I do want all the bells and whistles, and I do want to know that there's a response coming. And so that was good feedback for us, because I tend to think, well, maybe people just don't want law enforcement involved at all. And we got the feedback that was the opposite. They felt they call that resource because they want a response with very noticeable and very quick. So when you consider that, what types of resources or emergency response would you feel like is beneficial when you reach out? It looks like we have another question in chat. Okay. So Lita asks, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Lita was asking if when she calls on behalf of a family member, if she can request that there isn't a response from law enforcement or a response from paramedics or fire department. Yeah, if you're calling 911 because you have a concern about a family member and it's a life-threatening situation, the 911 call taker is going to gather the information necessary to make sure that the people they send to respond are safe and the people that they are responding to are safe. So if you were to call 988, we would operate sort of in the same nature. First of all, we'd want to make sure that we understand what it is we're responding to. And so a third-party caller in this example would be the family member. We would be asking you a lot of questions about what's happening in the environment at that exact moment. If somebody, for example, had access to a weapon and was saying they were going to use that weapon, we would have a lot of questions about how to make sure that that situation was safe and no longer life-threatening. Our response then would become about how do we provide an intervention that is going to help to calm the situation and get the people to the right place that they need to be served. Sometimes the right place to be served is at your home, where we would respond in person. Sometimes the right response is to send law enforcement to get somebody out of a vicarious situation that is not safe. Sometimes that is the fire department. But that approach to determining what the right response is going to be similar to 911, but our tools are a little bit more robust in that we have more to send than just the police. We can provide our crisis response to the situation. Did that answer the question? It was a little long-winded.
Thank you for that. And just to follow up on that, and this is Lita again, having a crisis worker, which what I understand would have de-escalation training, would be ideal in comparison with having all this response, because it just creates a mess. And it also causes problems with my daughter, because then she sees me as the enemy, that I brought all of this in. So having just, somebody who's trained in mental illness, serious mental illness, who has that training and who responds versus the police showing up would work much better for someone like her, at least in her case.
Sure. I think another really great thing, just to brag on the city of Spokane for a second, is I really do feel like Spokane has done a great job in training our first responders in behavioral health. And there are special units that exist where mental health workers ride along with police officers or the fire department and so on and so forth. And those agencies have also committed and invested in understanding how to provide the right response in the right situations. And the state of Washington is really working hard to create systems where there's always someone to call, there's always someone that's going to show up, and there's always somewhere to go. And that's the big crisis work we're doing right now, is creating a system that gives the right response to the right situation.
Right. Sarah and Amy, thank you. Yeah. In the interest of time, we do have other items on the agenda, but folks, if you have comments for them about, with regard to some of their questions, if you could reach out to them directly. I understand that you may want to speak about your experiences kind of in a public forum here, but if you would be able to reach out to them with feedback, that would be great. Likewise, Amy and Sarah, if you could make sure that we have your contact information for folks that want to give feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. So folks, any final questions for Amy and Sarah? Thank you for that email.
That's fine, just leave that. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, let's move on to administrative updates. Andrew, I need to log out and log back on for just a second because my battery is almost dead, but Jessica, if you could go ahead and start by telling us about new programs, that would be great, and I will be right back.
Thank you, Kim. Happy to do so. As we shared with you all before, we've been doing a lot of new programs at the ASO. And one of those being, one of the ones that we're starting up here right now is called the Youth and Patient Navigator Program. And I just wanted to provide you with a brief overview of what that program is. We're still in the beginning stages of seeing what that's going to look like. But this program will put together a regional multidisciplinary team that will take referrals and staff cases for youth and families who are struggling to locate appropriate resources to meet their needs that are experiencing challenges related to behavioral health. We recently hired a new youth and patient program manager who will introduce herself, I think, at one of our behavioral health advisory board meetings in the future. We're very excited to have her. Her name is Stephanie Sorensen. She's going to lead the team and is currently working to identify regional needs and gap areas for youth and adolescents in our region. And we're also going to hire 2 other positions to support this program. And that's, again, just a really brief overview of what we're doing with that program. It's still getting up and running in the very beginning stages. I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions about that specific program before I move on to a couple others that I wanted to talk about today. And of course,
when is this going to start? Sorry, I jumped in.
No, that's okay. I just want to always let Justin know that he can jump in if there's anything that I miss. We don't have an exact date on the startup time for this. We're still kind of putting together the team, making sure that we're identifying all the regional needs, and so we can respond appropriately when that an issue comes up. So I don't have a specific date on when that team will actually be up and running and able to take on cases. But I was
sorry, I was going to say it's called the Youth Inpatient.
A Youth and Patient Navigator Program. We are going to try and come up with a more catchy name for before we put it out into the community, but that's what it is for now.
Who did you say was the team leader?
Her name is Stephanie Sorensen.
Okay.
And she is going to be she's one of our integrated care coordinators that just started with us at the beginning of this month.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. And then I think that, I'm not sure if this one has been shared with you guys or not before, but we did partner with NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, to help fund their Community Behavioral Health Navigator program. This contract was executed, I think, in August officially, and provides coordination and education services to Spokane County residents. It also includes a facilitation of family support groups for families that have a family member struggling with mental illness, and provides tools and education to help support the family. We are set to receive our first deliverable from this program in mid-October, so we're eager to see the number of individuals that are served through this program, as well as kind of what the needs are in our community. And again, that's partnered with NAMI, and it has one community behavioral health navigator that is housed within at the NAMI office in downtown Spokane.
This is Kim. That is fantastic to hear. I'm really happy about that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're very excited to partner with NAMI and see what more we can do to help. And then the last program that I think I'll go over is the Behavioral Health Transitional Support Pilot Program. This is something that I think has been shared with you before. We are partnering with Volunteers of America. This program will provide engagement and outreach services to those in need in a transitional shelter setting, as well as pays for outpatient treatment services for individuals that are at or below the 220% federal poverty level and that do not have third-party insurance. This program is also in its beginning stages. We're working with VOA to get down some processes and procedures, but we are hoping to start implementing services here soon. We are meeting with them on a regular basis to provide technical assistance and working together to develop the program and documents and processes and things. But again, this program should be up and running and serving individuals in the near future, and we're excited to partner with VOA on this. Any questions about that program, the Behavioral Health Transitional Support Pilot?
So this is Kim again. So just to be clear on that, these are folks who are going from transitional housing to supportive housing, and then there's additional support during that period of time. Is that correct?
So anybody that's in a VOA shelter, whether that's their transitional age youth shelter, the Hope House, we'll have on-site individuals helping with connection to resources, support, education, and then getting them connected to additional services if necessary. So while they're in that transitional shelter, they don't necessarily have to be moving on to long-term housing. Of course, that is the goal, and they would help get them connected to those resources, but that's not necessarily a requirement.
Got it. That clarifies. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and this really looks at where the county is wanting to invest and demonstrate that we're filling specific gaps in the community. One of the identified areas was when individuals in a homeless shelter and needing behavioral health services, it may not reach the level of medical necessity criteria. So getting them enrolled in outpatient, forcing them to go through that service seemed counterproductive for individuals that would just need additional support or case management or education, right? And so by partnering with VOA, we can hit all of those areas regardless of their insurance coverage and regardless of their status or ability to pay, and they're provided that service. It also removes that stigma. We don't want anyone to think that just because you're homeless, you have a mental illness, but we also want those that are experiencing homelessness and recognizing that there's significant challenges and trauma and various different things that affect the individual's functioning well-being are impacted. They have access and availability without needing to go into an appointment where they may not feel more comfortable doing so, like getting a diagnosis and feeling like they have the stigma attached to what they're experiencing, and receive it in an environment they feel most comfortable or are currently living. And that's what this program is really focusing on, is removing barriers and increasing equitability for access. We'll have them come and present here in the near future as well.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And then I did want to just add, we've talked about our initiative for student wellness before. That program is in full swing and they're getting ready to do screenings. But a new thing that we have added is we're currently working to kind of onboard a couple new schools, and we'll be in 5 different schools. So we're really excited about that. And that'll be Cheney, East Valley, Freeman, Riverside, and West Valley this year. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we're continuing to expand that program and grow, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and just a note on that, East Valley was not one of the initial schools we had identified as part of our expansion. But in the last year, the school had expressed significant concern, the superintendent as well as principals of the schools, because the school has experienced in this last year alone, and then right before the school was about to start, 6 deaths. So 2 of those are tragically students taking their own lives, and they're students within the East Valley School District. And so the school desperately requested some assistance. And in conversation with the school, as well as the superintendent and with the city of Spokane Valley, it was identified that our program was the best suited and the most responsive to ensure continuity of services across the entire school body. Now we're ramping up. It is not what we anticipated, but we are very excited about with ESD 101 for that. But the reality is the students need assistance and help. And anything we can do to achieve that, regardless of the challenges, we're going to pursue. So that is something that, as the county, I think we take pride in the reality. We were responsive and quick when other places or other services may not be available. And I think that's the responsibility of the county in a lot of ways, is to say, how can we serve the community in a quick and responsive manner? And remember, all students can have access to these services, regardless of their healthcare coverage, because a lot of the services are not covered by Medicaid.
Can you repeat the name of that program again?
Yeah, it's our Initiative for Student Wellness, School-Based Screening, Brief Intervention, and Referral to Treatment. ISW, SBS Berkeley. And it's fully funded by Spokane County.
Folks, any questions for Jessica and Andrew about those 3 updates or no programs? Jessica, I just realized, did I cut you off in the midst of, was there another one too?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can move on to Justin's update on the opioid funds.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll come back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kim. So I wanted to just update BHAB on where the county sits with their opioid funds. So as everyone here may know, and I've updated, there's been a bunch of settlements that have come through that have awarded participating local governments, which includes Spokane County, with settlement dollars from the opioid settlements under the Washington 1 MOU. And that is various different ones that are coming through. Different companies have settled at different times. So the first set of funds have already been awarded. There is a second set of funds, and then there was a third and fourth settlement that have yet to be concluded. And so the county has to figure out what to do with these funds. As part of the Washington MOU, as we've discussed before, we have to create a opiate abatement council, which the county and the local participating governments, our LPGs, have decided, or PLGs, participating local governments, not local participating local governments, PLGs, to have the Spokane County Regional BHASO both facilitate and run. Now, the OAC has very specific rules. It's the Opiate Abatement Council as to what their job is. Their job is to be administrative capacity. All of the local governments within the regional service area, that's our 6th county, would provide information how their funds are being spent, provide a body by which information and referrals could be received for fund usage, and also be the arbiter of any disputes or conflicts if those arose in response to the fund's usage. What they do not do is directly assign the funds from those specific municipalities. They're only there as an advisory, unless those municipalities sign over all of their rights to the OAC. Caveat to that too is they could sign their fundings over to any of the municipalities as long as they have an interlocal agreement. None have done that. That's just a side. Ultimately, the OAC provides that capacity for reporting, and we'll be doing that. On the other side is our Spokane County opiate dollars, which Spokane County retains full authority over. That's the Board of County Commissioners' determination on the money that the county has been allotted. Where does it go? Well, we're developing that process, and our department will also be supporting and overseeing that process in conjunction with our executive leadership. So We'll be receiving public input. We'll be developing priorities. We'll be presenting them to the board. So priorities that our department have established based on information from the BHAB and everything will roll up, and so will public comment. What we will also be creating is an opiate committee that will determine what those priorities are based on public feedback and information from the community service department. We will be asking one of the BHAB members, or two, or three, depending upon how many people want to participate in the selection of those priorities. The board has participated in other selection processes, so it's really exciting to be able to have your direct voice in the decision-making and have a say in that. We're also going to have subject matter experts, myself, and other county staff that oversee funding and contracting, so that there's a viewpoint from all members. They will help decide those priorities. The priorities will then be listed and provided to the commissioners. Commissioners will have sole discretion on all priorities, but at least the selection committee will be able to provide feedback to the board as to what is both the public's and the subject matter experts' highest priorities based upon what we see right now, and to not duplicate services. So like I said, stay tuned. We want to reach out, have as many of you join our review board as possible. This is not like what we've done in the past where we do selection of a program. It's discussion and selection of priorities. Once the board determines those priorities, then we will go through a selection of programs, which then the BHAB will also participate in, if they so choose. So that's the update. There is, I think, roughly about $500,000 annually at this time that I know we're guaranteed to receive in opiate dollars for at least, and again, they break these years down. I think it's like 6 years, 10 years, and 15 years. I think it's the breakout of the time the settlement monies flow out. So there's going to be a kind of a flow of this. And then we have the current fund already applied to the county, but has not been designated yet because the board hasn't decided. It's about 1.1 million. There's various priorities that the one MOU says it has to be utilized, so they have to be within those, but there's a lot on the table. So we'll be presenting that to the BHAB here in the near future once we're able to get that going. And in fact, if we have BHAB members participating, they can also discuss their experience as part of that. So any questions on the different opiate pathways that we'll be overseeing and what the monies can be used for?
Board members, any questions for Justin? Or actually,
Yeah.
board members and guests, excuse me.
Yeah, Justin, just what is the timeline for getting this accomplished, doing the selection process and getting it up and going?
That's a great question, Mike. There is one for the OAC, which is I have to get members that have been selected by, that's the Opiate Abatement Council that's designated by the participating local governments, PLGs. They get to choose their representation on that board, on that council. And that could take a while. So it's going to take 30 days to get feedback, and then probably another 30 to decide if they actually made a final decision. And then we have to create it, and then we have to develop it. So January 1 is the soonest I think we could get something in place before we can just provide and look at priorities. More importantly is the Spokane County allotment. And I hope to have that up and running and open for public comment by October. If we wait too long, then we go into holiday season, and not many of the public is going to have the time or availability for that. I want as much open as possible for the public and hit the ground running now. The money's sitting there, let's get it out. And so I hope to have that mid-October, and the review process for the BHAB members sometime by early November.
Fairly soon then, that sounds good, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, programs wouldn't roll out probably till January 1, but at least the programs would be available January 1, not just the council finally meeting. So that's my hope.
Ron, that is a good question. Folks, any other questions for Justin about this? Okay, sounds like no at the moment, and I'm sure we'll have more updates as we come, or as things move along. So, Jessica, back to you again.
Wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up. I am here to talk about, again, the crisis data dashboard for Q2 of 2023. It looks like it is still taking a second to load here, but I will just go on and share for the sake of time. Like I said, this is the 2023 Q2 crisis data dashboard, which shows crisis system data from April to June of 2023. When we think about this compared to Q1 of 2023, we saw increases across pretty much all areas, with the most notable increase being in the number of high utilizers. That number went from 196 high utilizers during Q1 to 308 of Q2 of 2023. So significant increase there. There was also an increase in the number of services provided and a small increase in the number of crisis hotline calls. So again, while most of the numbers increased, there was one area which we saw a decrease, and that was the number of individuals that were served. So you did hear that the number of services increased, however, number of individuals served went down. So what this usually means is that the number of individuals we served during that quarter were a higher acuity and needed additional crisis services to meet their needs. And there was one adjustment, which I think it is also in your handouts if we can't get it to work today. Oh, there it is. Wonderful. Thank you. And then if you could scroll down to the bottom half, I wanted to make a note on the mobile crisis response encounters report, that pie chart that's kind of second from the right. We did make a small adjustment to this pie chart. This data now includes MCR services. Kim, I think that you're not muted. We can kind of hear some background noise. Thank you. So yeah, the mobile crisis response encounters pie chart, we started to include numbers that are telehealth services, so mobile crisis response services that were provided via telehealth. And we can also break those out, but we just included them in the overall numbers. And so that's a small kind of change that we made to the dashboard recently, because we thought it was important to have those services included. Other than that, everything else looks really good. Everything is in line with norms for the year. And so the crisis system seems to be operating really well, serving a lot of people. And I'm very happy to say that our providers are doing a wonderful job serving the community in our region. And I think that puts us right at 4. So I am going to end there and pass it back to you, Kim.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Jessica? And absolutely, the crisis responders are doing a phenomenal job.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, let me see, the next item on the agenda, and again, thank you, Jessica and Justin, for those updates. Sounds like, Tommy, it is your time, Consumer Consultation Panel.
Yes, I have here the CCP minutes from July and August. First, I'll do July. At this meeting, our guests were Gail Kogel of the Office of Behavioral Health Advocacy and Caitlin Roy, liaison to the BHASO and CCP. Brent Smith, CCP chair, facilitated the meeting. Also attending were CCP members Tom Goes, Aaron Smith, Robin Segner, and Sarah Lee. Sophia Alexander had an excused absence. The online July 2023 CCP meeting was called to order. The June CCP meeting minutes were read and approved. There was no June Behavioral Health Advisory Board meeting, so this was not reported on. We discussed the Santa pictures as CCP intends to do. It was suggested that we do the pictures at Brent's apartment complex on December 2nd and do the pictures at the Quality Inn on December 9th. Sarah said she will redo the flyers. It was suggested we get the flyers out early. Sarah said that she will try to have the flyers ready to go by the next CCP meeting, August 14th. It was also suggested we advertise for the Jaunt in June, a walk-in event put on by the CCP, and that we also advertise for the Santa Pictures event. It was mentioned that the Evergreen Club 5K is happening on August 19th, and the CCP could possibly have a booth at this event. 5K will start at the south side of Riverfront Park near the Orange Bridge by the carousel. It was noted that the CCP has funds totaling $109.38. We can use $50 for the 5K and $59.38 for the Santa pictures. Sarah and Robin said they would try to find information about the Hands Across the Falls event. The CCP can possibly have a booth there also. Also, Brent said that he is not sure how to contact Shonda Blunt, a possible new CCP member. Gail then said she will not be here at the August meeting because she is on vacation. The next CCP meeting will be held online Monday, August 14th, 2023, from noon to 1 p.m. Meeting was adjourned. And then here from August. At this meeting, our guest was Kaylin Roy, liaison to the BHASO and CCP. Brent Smith, CCP chair, facilitated the meeting. Also attending were CCP members Tom Gold, Aaron Smith, Robin Cygnus, Sarah Leak, and Sophia Alexander. Gail Cole had an excused absence. The online August 2023 CCP meeting was called to order. The July CCP minutes were read and approved. We discussed the July Behavioral Health Advisory Board meeting. At this meeting, there was an OBHA update by Gail Kogel, Program Director, OBHA. She said that the OBHA has continued to solidify systems and processes. She said that things have been challenging and the workload more intense. The peer wash and ramp up of the OBHA has been successful. There's been a 46% increase of people contacting the OBHA. Out of 51 cases, 17 have been complaints. She mentioned that the wait time for youth is too long for people coming out of services. That on the second Wednesday of each month, there's an OBHA forum meeting. There was a presentation about the annual block grant plan by Justin Johnson, that is the mental health block grant, the substance use block grant, and also the ARPA mental health block grant and ARPA substance use block grant. There was not much of a change in funding for the mental health block grant, the substance use block grant. There's a total of around $1,500,000 in funding for these grants. I believe there is a total of $817,501 in funding for the ARPA mental health block grant and $625,000 for the ARPA substance use block grant. There was an ISW, or Institute for Student Wellness, IRT of the year report by Josh Henderson and Katie Wright. The ISW uses a universal screener, which takes 10 or 15 minutes to do. The program has received an award. The program is currently finalizing data analysis and is in the process of expanding to more schools. The program answers the mental health needs of students. There was an OAC Oprah Abatement Council update by Justin Johnson. The OAC has to do with opiate dollars for Spokane County and municipalities in the region. All agreed to the proposal for Spokane County to do the OAC. Spokane County will oversee funding. It's yet to be determined how to use the funding. We discussed the coming Santa Pictures event the CC plans to do. We decided to do the pictures with Quality Inn on Saturday, December 9th. Sarah said that she will have the flyers out by the week of August 19th so we can pass them out at the Evergreen Club 5K. Brent suggested we buy some frames for the Santa pictures with some of the funds we have for the event. It was mentioned that we should get out the flyers for the event by September or October. It was mentioned that a donation of $5 was suggested for each picture. It was also suggested that next year we asked for an increase in the CCB's budget from $300 to $500. Kaylin said that he'll make a formal request to this effect and will address it to Justin Johnson, Director of the Community Services Department. Kaylin also said he will update the CCP's Jaunt and June flyers so that we can have the flyers at the 5K. Sarah said that the Jaunt should be on the calendar for Behavioral Health by May, and that we should leave flyers wherever we go. Brent suggested that we buy 2 helium tanks, balloons, the Jaunt, instead of 1. Brent then said that he would check out the possible price of a banner for the Jaunt. It would suggest the letters for the banner be 18 inches and the banner should be 10 feet long. We need staples for the banner also. It was also suggested that the banner should read Consumer Consultation Panel and nothing else. Brent then said that he could not get a hold of Shonda Blunt, a possible new CCP member. It was mentioned the date for the Evergreen Club 5K is August 19th and that we should be there by 7 a.m. It was also mentioned that we should bring CCP flyers and keychains to the event. It was noted that the current CCP budget is $109.38. Robin and Sarah said that we'll start listing stuff on the CCP Facebook page. The next CCP meeting will be held online on Monday, September 11th, 2023 from noon to 1 p.m. Meeting was adjourned. That's my minutes. Except the Evergreen Club 5K was canceled because of the smoke.
Thank you, Tom. I think it was incredibly warm during that period of time too, for the Evergreen Club walk. Is that going to be or has that been postponed or canceled altogether? It was postponed or canceled?
I think it was canceled, yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Any questions or comments, feedback for Tom? For those of you who do have text availability, Nancy did send just an updated text a moment ago regarding the presentation from Sarah and Amy, just clarifying something. So take a peek at that. Okay. Thank you again, Tom. Let's
You're
go ahead
welcome.
and move on to board comments. Any feedback, questions, comments from the board?
I just like to take a moment to remember Jeff Thomas. Tom and I went to his memorial that was earlier this month. Jeff Thomas did so much to augment the services of mental health as the CEO of Frontier Behavioral Health.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. That was really important. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I'm glad that you and Tom were able to attend his memorial.
Yeah, we did.
Other board comments? This is Kim from Gail. I'm sorry I was not able to attend the Ombuds meeting or training earlier or meeting last week or the week before, but can you just give a brief update? I know that was on suicide prevention. That was sort of the topic of the conversation.
Oh, thank you for, yes. So once a month, on the second Wednesday of every month, I hold a behavioral health forum. And because September is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, that was the topic that we selected. I know there's a lot of good information out there, but what I really wanted to do was present some information to the people that are attending and just get their feedback. And I think that I'm always amazed when people share their personal stories during the forums. They talked about what it felt like when they were suicidal or they had an attempt. And this was what precipitated the question about texting 988 or calling 988. And so that's where I got that comment from, was from that forum. It was, it's always really good to hear from people. And I think that with the next month we're scheduled to do a 988 presentation, but I think because this time we'll have hopefully people enrolled in services attending, there's always a good balance of providers, but I found that a number of the providers are also people with lived experience. So really there's no lines or demarcations there. So I just would love it if somebody would like for me to send them an invite for it. It's from 3 to 4:30. It's not always the most convenient time, but it's the second Wednesday of every month and it's over Zoom. It's not in person.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate it. Kind of on a related note, I don't know if folks are aware, since we've been talking about 988 today, that was the topic of the forum. I don't know if folks are aware of this, but since 988 came out, you can purchase, I believe the cost is around $18, $20, an emblem that goes on your car license plate that highlights suicide as preventable, I believe, and also highlights the 988 number. And it's my understanding that approximately $10 of the cost goes specifically to veteran or military mental health services. So if anyone's interested and you drive, please consider getting one of the emblems for your vehicle license plates. So
where do you
a
get
great
those,
cause.
Kim?
And actually you can, it's basically through the state of Washington Department of Licensing. I will send out, I can put a link. I don't have it immediate. Oh, perfect. Savannah just put it in.
Thanks, Savannah.
Yeah, we can send out that information to folks. And I think you just apply to get it, pay your money, and they send it to you. And then it can be somehow added to your current vehicle license. Any other board member comments or questions? Briefly, again, this is Kim. Briefly, Ashley, welcome to the meeting. I would at some point, and maybe not today because I hate to put you on the spot, but just very, very briefly, I'd love to hear what you're working on at the county as well. So, and any public comments?
Hi, Kim. I didn't know if I just wanted to turn on my camera and say hi to everyone. For those that I don't know, I am Ashley McGee and I'm an integrated care coordinator with Spokane County BHASO. My main roles that I'm working on is AOT program coordinator, assisted outpatient treatment, and then kind of working within the crisis system, overseeing crisis system coordination, and on a few different programs, some that Jessica had mentioned, and I think some that have been presented on before, but happy at the next one to maybe give a little bit more information if anyone has any questions.
That'd be great. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. Any public comments or any other announcements for the good of the board and the public? Okay. In the absence of that, we will meet again on Monday, November 27th, 2023. We will be well into fall at that point. Very close to Thanksgiving. So until then, everybody have a wonderful time. If I could have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting for today, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I motion, Kim. Michael.
Thank you, Shane.
Second.
Gail, thank you very much. All right, everyone, take care. Be well. See you in a couple of months, hopefully before.
Thank you. Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did it go out? Well, there it is.